Hello techies. Welcome to our brand new video series focused on helping you get the most of your experiences in life. Before we start the video, let's know about Upptalk. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms.
So yes, this is some of the fields that we need now. There are two other fields that we have. One is the Workday ID, and the other one is the username. So from experience, I can tell you that it will not be there in any of these other sections. I can look. I can show you the ID section as well. But you see, it is not here. Alright, and if you go to the related person data, it is not here either. Right. But we want those fields in our output. We want the worker ID was the Workday ID and the username. So how to do it? It is not part of any of the delivered data section fees. We have selected all the fields that we could. Now what happens? What if we want to include a field that is not as part of the delivered data sections? Then what we can do is we can go for a custom integration service. Right. So we go to the related actions of the integration. And we go to Integration System. And we configure the integration services. We can again go back and configure the integration service. Right. So here you can. I'll select some of the ones that we are not using. For example, we use personal data, status data, position data, but we did not use contract data. We did not use leave of absence. Right, we uncheck that. And what else related person data? We did not use identification data. We did not use, so we can uncheck that. We no longer paid it. But we want a custom integration service. We want the custom integration service now. So let's click on the plus row here. And in the integration service. Just keep it worth a second. I'll just copy the name of the integration. So if we create a custom integration, so we go to Create. And we're going to create an integration field override service. Okay. We're creating an integration field override. And here you have to give a name. So, instead of CCW, what I'll do is I'll mark it as custom. Custom new files out. Right, it's a custom integration that we are creating. And then it will ask you, from which business object are you going to get the data? Right. Very important. From which business object are you going to get the data from the user? Now, if we have created a calculate field, for example the one we were creating, right, the length of service, and from length of service, we were extracting the years of service, etc. So we had stored all of those fields in our worker business object. So these are some of the business objects from which you can get the data for a core connector worker background check, and then you can get the data from the user. So let's say we want it from the worker business object itself, So now what happens? If you are going to add some fields, you can choose any field that is present in the worker business object. If that field may already be included in your, like the delivered data section fields, or it may be something that is not there. But if you create a custom integration field override service, you will be able to include any field, any calculated field, any Workday field as part of your integration. Now, important question. Let's say you want some fields from the job profile and some fields from the worker business object. Then what would you do? We have to create 2 override service, or as many as we need. Maybe we want one from job profile. We want a few fields from location, etc. So you have to create multiple fields override services. There is no limit. You can create more than one as well. But maximum. How many can you create? 1 to 3. I mean the number of different business services you can create one for each. Typically we only need one maximum. Now here you see, it is not a drop-down. Here we are not able to select a field in the integration field override service. As of now, we are going to create the place. What are the 2 place orders? Workday ID and username. So we will just create those 2 placeholders. But make sure you do not have spaces as part of the name. Let's create one more. This will just be placeholders. We will actually connect it to the actual fields in a moment. But as of now, we just created 2 placeholders. Click OK. Alright. So our integration is more or less becoming ready. There are no errors, nothing. We have created an integration. Custom integration service. Now what if you want to add more field for the danger? But if you want to add more fields? I have created 2. But what if you want to add more? You go to the related actions of this custom integration service, so you can select the integration field overwrite, and you edit. You can click on edit, and you can add 4 fields, right? Not an issue at all. So there is place for enhanced fences. Alright. So we have created those 2 placeholders. But now we should configure which field will be mapped to those 2 placeholders. Right. And another thing, if you remember from your code connector that we were discussing, we had talked about the change detection. When we were talking about change detection, 1 second. If I bring up the slide. Why is it not coming in the place I want? Mr. Second. The change detection. Right. So we also talked about the eligibility. We talked about the eligibility criteria. Right. What was the eligibility criteria? If you remember, here the worker eligibility. You define a group of workers that belongs to the integration system. Membership is defined by a single Julia report field or calculators. Correct. So it is a Boolean field that identifies which workers are eligible for this particular core connector. It is kind of a filter. Right. Is it? It is a filter that we are going to configure. So here also, as part of the integration, we have to define that filter, that eligibility criteria. Okay. So we go to the related actions. We go to the hour. Integration system. Configure integration field overrides. What happened? Oh, it refreshed again. Is it? Alright, yeah, it refreshed. Okay. Thankfully, we were not doing anything much. We had saved everything. So yeah, we will go to the related actions. And then we will go to integration system. And we will go to integration field overrides. We have already done field attributes, field integration as integration attributes. It is field attributes. Now we are going to field overrides. Click on that. And then it asks you about the eligibility criteria. What is the eligibility criteria? This is used to determine whether a worker is eligible for inclusion in the integration output. The field should return a Boolean value. Right. So what if I want to have the ability to do that my managers in the US, only my managers in the US to be eligible for this integration? Then what should I do? The location. Select the location. Correct. But then what? How should I create how should I create the field? It will be a calculated field, right? You see, this field says it has to be a Boolean value. So that means, if that is my eligibility criteria, then I have to do what? First, I have to create that calculated field. How would I create that? You know how to create the calculated field. You know it. Right. What is it error? Oh, page is out of it. That's fine. Refresh the page and it should be okay. Alright, so now, how do we create a calculated field which is left there? Managers in the US, or only my US workers? Only my US workers? Then what would I do? I'll create